We've all seen the image. A helpless princess locked in a tower, waiting for a knight in shining armor to save her. It's the ultimate medieval trope, the damsel in distress. But what if the women of the Middle Ages weren't waiting to be saved? What if they were the ones leading armies, managing vast estates, and ruling kingdoms with an iron fist? Before we dive into today's story, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. The helpless woman of the Middle Ages is one of history's most persistent fictions. While the medieval world was certainly patriarchal, the reality of a woman's life was far more complex and powerful than fairy tales suggest. From the counting houses of London to the battlements of besieged castles, women were the backbone of medieval society. Today, we're stripping away the silk veils and the Victorian myths to reveal the true steel of medieval women. To understand where the damsel myth comes from, we have to look forward, not backward. The image of the passive, delicate woman was largely a 19th century invention. During the Victorian era, writers and artists looked back at the Middle Ages through a romanticized lens. They wanted to project their own ideals of feminine domesticity onto the past. In reality, a medieval woman's life required immense physical and mental toughness. If you were a peasant, you were working the fields alongside the men. If you were an urban woman, you were often running a business. And if you were a noblewoman, you were the CEO of a massive household that functioned like a small corporation. The delicate flower wouldn't have survived a single week in the 12th century. One of the greatest myths is that women were removed from warfare. In the Middle Ages, war wasn't just fought on distant battlefields. It often came to your front door. When the lord of a castle went off to war or to court, he left his wife in charge. This wasn't just a ceremonial role. She was the acting commander. Take the case of Nicola de la Haye. In 1217, at the age of 60, she held Lincoln Castle against a massive rebel siege for months. She directed the defenses and refused to surrender, eventually saving the English crown. Or consider Joanna of Flanders, who during the War of the Breton Succession put on armor, mounted a horse, and led a daring cavalry raid to burn the enemy's camp while her own city was under siege. These weren't damsels. They were tactical leaders who knew exactly how to use steel to protect their interests. At the highest levels of society, women were political giants. Eleanor of Aquitaine is perhaps the most famous example. She was a duchess in her own right, Queen of France, and then Queen of England. She went on crusade, managed massive territories, and outmaneuvered some of the most powerful men in history. But it wasn't just Eleanor. Women like Blanche of Castile served as regents, ruling entire nations for years on behalf of their sons. They negotiated treaties, suppressed rebellions, and managed national treasuries. They didn't rule from the shadows. They ruled from the throne. The legal framework of the time allowed for femme sole status, women who could own property, sign contracts, and sue in court just like men. Power in the Middle Ages was about land and bloodlines, and women were the vital links that held those chains together. Power wasn't just for the nobility. In the growing cities of the Middle Ages, women were an economic force. Many trade guilds, the labor unions of the day, were open to women. In Paris, there were guilds entirely managed by women, specifically in the high-end textile and silk industries. Women were brewers, blacksmiths, and merchants. When a husband died, the wife often took over his business and his guild membership, becoming a master in her own right. They managed accounts, traded across borders, and built family fortunes. Even the world of ideas was open to them. Christine de Pizan, the first professional female writer in Europe, wrote The City of Ladies in 1405, specifically to debunk the sexist myths of her time. She argued that if women were given the same education as men, they would be just as capable in every field. The next time you see a damsel in distress in a movie, remember the reality. The women of the Middle Ages were builders, warriors, and rulers who thrived in a brutal world. They didn't need saving. They were busy saving themselves and their kingdoms. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the hidden history of the Middle Ages, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to Myths and Steel. We're just getting started uncovering the truth. I want to hear from you. Who is your favorite powerful woman from history? Let's talk in the comments below. And stay tuned for our next episode, where we investigate the Viking world. Did they really wear those iconic horned helmets, or is that another Hollywood fiction? Thank you for watching. History isn't just about the men in the textbooks. It's about everyone who had the strength to shape it. See you next time.